So today we're going to talk about money. I've been a working actor for about 10 years, meaning I have been making a fair amount of income. So that's sort of what I mean by working actor. I've been booking TV gigs, and sometimes I've gotten health insurance with my union. So I wanted to go over how much I actually made during a year when I worked the most gigs. Of course, I made a lot of money when I did High Castle because I did 6 episodes, and we can do a separate episode on that and the earnings that I had from that show if that's of any interest for anyone. So in 2022, I worked 4 different television gigs. For Better Call Saul, I was in Albuquerque for I think about 2.5 weeks, so it ended up being a pretty good payout for a co-star. And then I did 3 different one-day guest stars. I did one day on Good Trouble and was pretty much cut out of that show. I did Grey's Anatomy, and I did SWAT. And then I dubbed for 3 different Netflix shows, and I had some residuals. Sounds like a lot, but when you actually do the math, I think it's a lot less than you might think it is. We're gonna start with my gross paycheck. So before any taxes, commission, anything has come out. For the co-star and the 3 guest stars, I made a total of $25,015.87. For the dubbing sessions, I made $2,444.06. That was probably about, I don't even know, but it's about $180 per hour, and it's a total buyout. I'll never see residuals for that. And then just in residuals that year, I made $14,487.41. So my grand total gross as an actor in 2022 was $41,947.34. So I still need to take out taxes and all of my commissions. After taxes, my net total that I brought home was $29,247.37. So now you know the income side of it, and this was a very good year for me. My agent once told me that if you book a guest star every year, you're in the top 10% of actors, maybe even 1%. Those earnings reflect, that was 3 guest stars and a pretty large co-star. That would put me in an upper echelon of working actors for the year 2022. Okay, expenses. Being an actor is expensive, but I'm going to separate these costs into what I would see as essential spending and what I would see as elective spending or optional spending. Now, many people are going to split hairs about, for example, education. Is going to a class essential? I would say yes. But I also acknowledge that I've been in economic positions where going to a class was impossible. And in that case, there are so many online resources, and you can read books and plays and watch interviews. You can set up play groups with friends where you do scenes in front of each other and critique each other's work. Class is akin to going to the gym. So you can study fitness, but it's really not going to do you much good until you go to the gym and actually implement what you're reading and learning about. So let's talk about commissions. Commissions, I would say, are my first essential spending category. So for every gig, pretty much, I have to do 10% agency commission and 10% manager commission. For Man in the High Castle, I only have to pay 10% commission because I didn't have a manager at the time. Total for the year, my commissions were $7,797.83. To be an actor in LA and many other markets, you need subscriptions to casting sites. These are things like Actors Access, casting networks, things like that. So for this year in particular, I was not yet listed on casting networks because I didn't have commercial rep. So Actors Access was all I had. But on top of that, I have an IMDb Pro subscription so I can put my photo up on IMDb and research production companies and things like that. So for subscriptions in 2022, I paid $229.39. If I also had a casting networks profile, probably would have added about $300. I didn't upload any reels this year, but if I had, it's about $22 a minute, so let's round up to $44. Uploading photos to casting sites is about $10 a piece. I didn't upload any photos this year, but if I had uploaded, say, 5 different looks, that would have been $50, so let's call it $50. I didn't take any headshots this year, but actors generally need to take new headshots every 1 to 3 years. So let's average out the cost of headshots over 3 years and say on the low end, that's $250. And then we have union dues. This year in union dues, because I made a little bit more, I paid $858.54. And lastly, if you're a woman, makeup really is a necessity, especially when you're going out for guest stars, recurring guest stars, and you might play a romantic lead. So for makeup that year, I spent $184.42. So now let's go into our optional expenses. Now, like I said before, acting class I don't consider optional, but let's, for devil's advocate reasons, consider it optional on this year. In 2022, I spent $2,622.50. This is on the very low end for classes. That is under $250 a month, which is crazy for Los Angeles. And then for me, contact lenses are essential as an actor. I can't wear my glasses for every audition, and mostly I don't wear them at all for auditions. For contact lenses that year, I spent $159.98. Facials, again, totally optional. This year I only got one because I was trying to save money, and that was $234. There are so many other things that I could list here, like networking events, self-tape equipment, gas mileage to and from class, skincare, all sorts of expenses. And believe me, when I'm doing my taxes, I am listing all of them. I claim everything that I can. So let's go back to the original numbers. So my grand total gross as an actor in 2022 was $41,947.34. After my taxes and commissions, my adjusted total that I took home was $21,449.54. If on top of that we take out the other essential spending, so this was things like union dues, makeup, subscriptions, new adjusted total is $19,533.19. Just for funsies, let's also take out the optional expenses. So after optional expenses, my new adjusted total take home is $16,516.71. This is a year where I worked 4 television gigs, 3 dubbing gigs, and had residuals coming in from, I think, 8 different shows. And my take home was under $17,000. It is really hard to make it. And it's not even clear what making it is. If you consider, for example, that say I booked a series regular and I was making $30,000 an episode because I'm not a name, and it was a 10 episode season, I'm making $300,000. That's amazing. I'm probably taking home about $150,000 of it. And that's only if I also don't want to hire a publicist, a stylist, any of the other support personnel that are generally needed when you move up in category. Making it as an actor is simply not what it used to be. A lot of people bemoan the disappearance of the middle class actor. And certainly if you look at 2022 as an example, I'd agree. I think it's really, really hard to be a middle-class actor. Now, I worked on a ton of projects in 2022, and a lot of people would be like, that's making it. And honestly, in 2022, I was like, oh yeah, I'm making it. Like, it felt really, really good. But I wanted to show you the math because I think this is a vital part of the conversation when we talk about the economics of being an actor and also sustainability in the arts. The truth is, it's hard to earn even just minimum wage at a job that you work at under 100 hours a year. And I get the argument that companies continue to make money off of my face, basically. This is why they pay me residuals, is that I worked for them one day, say in 2022, but they continue to make a profit off of the art I created. So I get it. We should be paid fairly for this. But I continue to wonder how we can structure this industry in a way that allows for middle-class actors to continue to work, and I have to admit that I'm not sure if we can. It used to be that payouts for residuals were higher, right? We had syndication, but we also had fewer platforms and fewer screens. So we had a larger share of the audience looking at one show than we do now. As this market has splintered and there's not a singular home for television shows or movies, and increasingly we're looking at short form content and social media, I do really, really wonder if there is a way to be a middle class actor the way that there used to be. Even payouts for commercials are getting smaller. I did a national pharmaceutical and I think I only made like $20K on it for like 2 years. So with all of this being what it is, how do we make this work as artists? Honestly, my only answer so far has been to do a bunch of other things. I walk dogs. In 2022, I was also working a waitressing job. I coach. I am starting this YouTube. I will do whatever that I can get my hands on to make a little bit of cash. Making a living just acting truly, truly is harder and harder every day. I remember when I got into this, when I moved to LA in 2010, the general advice was, don't do this if you could see yourself doing anything else. And that was when the economics were a lot more viable than they are today. Because the truth is, many of us don't make a true living in this art form. And so if you're not doing it for the money and it's not paying your bills, then you really, really have to love it and believe that it can do something in this world that is so exciting and vital that you just can't not be a part of it. I don't think that storytelling is non-essential, because if it were non-essential, then we wouldn't have been doing it, stretching back to painting on the walls of caves. Clearly, telling each other stories is a vital part of the human experience. So I do think that there will continue to be entertainment and there will continue to be actors. I just don't know how that will look. I feel incredibly lucky to have the career that I have, even though it hasn't really created any kind of financial stability for me. I still want to do this. I'm still excited about it, and I still love acting. Sometimes I wonder about the sustainability of that love when I am not able to do it as often as I'd like. But sharing stuff like this helps. So hopefully this has been interesting to you. Like I said, if you want to hear more about the year that I booked High Castle and what the returns are on that, they were a little better than 2022. Then I'm happy to go into that math with you as well. Keep trying, keep going. Hopefully the math was helpful, and I'll see you all soon.